and have tuned in at any other part throughout the day, fear not, we are in game number 3. We have just seen a lot of coastline today, but we don't get to see it all too much, so it's not too much of a big deal. Certainly not a Morrigan situation just yet, Jacob?
I mean, if you had to pick, like, cafes based in like very cold Moscow, right? Clubhouses in Germany. If I had to pick a map to go back to over and over again, like in real life, I would absolutely want to go back to Ibiza, which is where Coastline's located. I would absolutely want to go back to Spain, given the chance. By comparison to any other map, we might as well go back here. But here's something kind of curious. A completely different set of bans than what we've seen from the previous 2 games. A Thatcher, a Jackal, and a Mute, and an Echo. None of these, I believe, unless I'm crazy, were banned over the course of the previous 2, because it was a Nomad and a Lion banned both times on attack, a Jaeger, a Valkyrie, and a Mira. Completely different set this time around. The Mute ban is interesting because it's used a lot in Brazil anyway. It's going to force Cameraman to play something different because that man is a bona fide Mute main through and through. But everything else is drastically different so far from what we've seen through the previous 2 games.
Makes sense to put a bit of pressure onto Mute as well, as Alamau is... I mean, it's difficult to say that, oh, so-and-so is known for playing an SAS operator in Brazil, because they can all play to a very high standard with that SMG-11. And that's just something that we've come to accept and acknowledge and enjoy when we see it happen. But moving into the game now, we are going to be starting FaZe Clan on the defense here. So the bans are going to give a little bit of freedom over toward the attackers, and we're seeing that freedom be taken advantage of straight away. No Nomad, which I'm kind of surprised about, honestly. Instead, Levy's going to be bringing the Lion.
Anything that you can do for flank watch or roam clear is going to help here. Jackal getting the ban was something I was actually kind of surprised we didn't see a little bit more of. It wasn't used too much by Furia, who I believe was the only team to really exercise the right to use it when it was unbanned, but you've got the combo of Lion and theoretically a Dokkaebi on the table if you wanted to get really cruel with trying to force roamers to stand still at odd moments. So that's something that can be brought out at any time if Team 1 decides to use it for their attacking half. On the defensive side, though, Valkyrie's been banned twice, and surprise, surprise, you might as well use her to full effect if you can, because there are so many different places that you can hide those Valkyrie cameras. That's a lot of free intel, and I don't think Team 1 on a map like Coastline want to waste an attacker pick on somebody like an IQ simply to clear the roamers out. So the fact that Valkyrie remains up is going to be a massive headache for attacking teams to deal with in this game.
Certainly is a problem you would rather not have to try and solve, but still, it's an advantage that Team 1 will have whenever they get themselves onto that defensive side. But for the meantime, they kind of have to deal with Cyber and the information that he's able to gather for his squad. The good news, I guess, is that we're likely going to see a very different game of Coastline play out, just in that there are a lot more different options here available. Neskin, he's going to start things off, managing to take down Souls, looking to progress on through as well. Pre-fires through the theater wall. Can he find the second? No, it is going to be taken out there. FaZe circling around his location. Just about everybody getting themselves involved in one way or another. Astro, he is going to get taken down there by Alamau. Alamau was inside of Hall of Fame and has since pushed on outside to sit and watch through VIP. So able to grab something back as a trade. Still an advantage here for Team 1.
Really good amount of control already taken up by Team 1. I think FaZe Clan aren't too concerned about having 2 players get dropped that quickly, because both players' utility for both the Malusi and the Kaid have already been utilized somewhere else on the site, and they will just simply need to watch out for flank cams and ensure it doesn't fall too far out of their favor. But everyone's already back on the bomb site. Levy will maintain position outside in ruins in case someone does hold a cross. He does have 2 more Lion charges in his back pocket to use at a opportune moment. Alamau having control of Lounge, can rotate all the way to Theater if he so chooses, but the attack strategy for Team 1 seems like it's very congested on the south to southeast side. Could be another Aqua Plant behind the default, because it doesn't look like Bullet or anyone else is being forced out of positions on Cool Vibes or closer to Hookah. Alamel might be the only one to force it, but an ill-advised prone means Cyber's got a free kill and Alamal's taken out of the equation. Levy and Cameraman both with 1 kill apiece. A 2v2 ensues. One can now force pressure down through Hookah as the Lion has to come back through Ruins and try to get a frag. Cameraman is there with the answer, and it's all down to Lagonis. Maybe forcing a swing if he takes the player out in VIP quickly. He may have an opportunity, but Cyber forces the issue. He's back in VIP. He will claim the room all to himself. And FaZe turning a really bad man advantage into a round win.
Good stuff there from FaZe to be able to clutch it out. There were some shaky pushes from Team One. You don't regularly see just a straight player walking in through the Hookah door ever really work out too well. It's typically an SAS player that's playing behind that little half wall, and they typically end up killing you very quickly. So no real surprise to see that push sort of come to nothing, especially after Alamal lost the gunfight that he was looking to try and take on the long corridor. It was never going to be an easy one. There was a lot of options and a lot of angles that he was going to be getting peeked from. Certainly not one that you could have expected him to win, but nonetheless, a round on the board for FaZe. We're going to be kicking things off pretty strong here on the defense. Taking us now downstairs to kitchen. Already, it is seeming to play out like a very different game. There's a lot more information that's readily available for these defenders. But this time, it isn't going to be information that they are looking to use. They're not actually going to be bringing the Valkyrie this time.
It's also interesting, we did see a Mira get banned out earlier in the day, but in this case it hasn't been, and I don't even think it was utilized even when Mira couldn't be selected, but it'll be used instead, slapping a Mira window right on the keg wall, watching to security, holding the very long angle all the way there. So that will force anyone pushing back from security to kind of reconsider their moves, because they are also opening up a massive portion of quad wall to help with the crossover. It seems like Team One will not look to be too concerned about it. They've already got diffuser positioned around service. They could be attempting the service plant. It probably won't happen very quickly. If Team One want to do this, they have to go now, but I very much doubt that that's the angle that they're going to take on it. It seems like FaZe also are pretty comfortable in their own roam game. Astro's got the extension through to Sunrise. There's 2 players from FaZe Clan who are upstairs playing vertically, and I do think Team One, they'd be wise to make a bit of a split of their attention. If they put some players upstairs to worry about the roamers and begin to allow verticality to be utilized there, and then also force pressure towards service, if that is the angle that they want to play from, then they should be able to get FaZe Clan in a pretty uncomfortable spot and get a plant down.
E1D going to root the defenders in place for a time. Still, no one seeing all too much pressure. Nice nade comes in, though, from KDS as he's able to take down Bullet. Cameraman back on to challenge in that kitchen window. Able to drag one back for his team. Astro doubling down on that as well. Advantage currently FaZe. Team One coming up against quite a few obstacles here and really starting to wade through some of that denial. I guess the good news for Team One at this point is that everything has been used bar 1 C4 in the hands of Souls. There are going to be no more Toxic Babe canisters available. The Lion Scan comes in just to gather a little bit more info, but it's not really going to do Levy any favors. He actually gets baited out there by Astro and taken on down. Lagonis now with the push on through, lands his shots and takes down Cameraman. Going to instantly go for a plant. He might have some information that the players are going to be a little bit further off-site than ideal. Astro tries to make his way in, but Neskin, he's going to be holding the cross. Souls, he's all the way upstairs. He's playing on the mirror. He's going to be a chunky boy to make that rotation now, as he's going to be really announcing and broadcasting his position. The noisy operator that is going to be Mirror, trying to make this retake happen. Dropped into the courtyard, likely going to get taken out here, as a little bit of patience on the side of Lagonis is always going to pay dividends. Sitting inside of the security there. Going to be able to hear that from a country mile. Easily hits the shots. Great little round there from Team One, and I kind of like how Lagonis is rocking the FaZe skin.
Might as well. That one's a classic too. That's one of the very first pilot program skins released all the way back in the day. It's not my favorite. I've definitely ripped on that skin before, but hey, what else are you gonna do? Nice of Lagonis, a pretty ballsy play as soon as he understood that he had all of bathroom and kegs control to go straight for a plant as opposed to maybe going and repositioning closer to service, because he had his other teammate holding the cross angle on kitchen window, and the Mozzie just walked straight into it, and it was all up to Mira upstairs in the perfect wrong position to be able to stop the plant from going down. It's good on Team 1 for understanding what they had control over and what they didn't, whether to go for the plant in that moment. That was absolutely the play, especially with the power of hindsight. And FaZe Clan probably kicking themselves a bit. They had opening kill. They were rearranging what Team 1 was attempting to do on their attack, but only to a certain point, because Team 1 didn't allow the loss of 1 to 2 players to phase them too much, pun intended. Instead, they just kept on playing their game, didn't worry about counterplay into FaZe too much, and now we sit here at 1-1. As close a contest as I think we estimated before this game started already.
Yeah, if out of the first 3 games we had to pick one that would go all the distance, I think it would likely have been this one. We've already had a game go all the distance. We've already had a game go 7-1, so as usual, the BR6 is really living up to expectation, where we usually get a good variety of every single sort of outcome. We'll get a stomp, we'll get an overtime.
Variety? What's the third time played Coastline? What variety is this?
This is variety, bro. We've seen different operator bans in at least some of the operators. I don't know.
Mike, Coastline the first time. That's cool. Brazil doesn't play Coastline very much. Second time on Coastline. That's uncharacteristic. Third time, what is happening?
Yeah. Do it till the 4th time, bro.
God, if it happens, I swear I'm going to lose full if it goes 4 times in a row. That's about to be insane. Alamal will open up the killing and take Cameraman out of the equation. He's already gotten all of Couch Wall by himself. He's got Billiards control, and he can also look back and see if someone wants to come up Cool Vibes, but no. Instead, it will be the Gemini heading down Cool Vibes to get a little bit more intel, and there is still a cross being held in VIP. That's where it seems as though Malusi of Bullet is situated for the moment. Cyber takes a little bit of damage from the Lion too, but he's now been scanned out, but he will scamper away, see if he can't force someone from Team 1 to look in his direction, as he doesn't stand still for the Lion charge, and so Team 1 now will have to mix things up a little bit. They still have some control of top floor to get. It's just Astro upstairs, and he may already be wanting to make a rotate back down to site already.
Well, let's see if FaZe are able to try and drag a couple of kills back here. They've really been struggling in this round to get close to those engagements. They've managed to deal with a bit of chip damage, but that's never ideal. He's trying to come away with the frag. Souls gets himself dug in. He's got a bit of utility to try and stay alive here, but you wonder about the pressure that is soon to be knocking on his door. KDS is able to shut down Bullet, who by all accounts is struggling to find that scoreboard today. Astro looking to make a rotation on in. FaZe really look starved for information, which is frustrating with Valkyrie being available, because in round number 1 they were able to not only win the round, but they had a good idea of where the push was coming from.
Yeah, we'll say
now they're struggling.
The intel is going to matter a lot, especially when the op simply exists in the fray, and you want to use it more on your defense more than you want your opponents to use it on defense. So if you have the opportunity, you absolutely should take it, especially in a situation like this. Seems like it's all from mud. Here comes the massive utility dump. Souls is full blind. He might get killed out here, and he will be. So Astro and Cyber have a very tall task, but Astro at the very least can nab one. Cyber all the way across the map gets flanked from the roof, it seems like. And Team 1 already, you had an inkling about Team 1 being able to pull this game out over FaZe, and so far they look very successful in attack.
I am not going to take any credit or joy out of that statement, Jacob, just yet.
I mean,
I appreciate it, but I think we should see how this one goes, because if today's been anything to go by, we really aren't in any position to be judging what's going to happen.
I'm saying this in the hopes of jinxing somebody at some point. Let's just...
You're just throwing jinxes out there.
If I'm the reason that Santos won against Liquid, then I might as well be the reason that suddenly Team 1 gets momentum and then chucks the game away. I have no idea. Stuff's whack today. You mentioned you felt like you woke up when you were in an alternate reality. I've been here for a day, and I can already tell you, it's an alternate reality.
It's just kind of strange. I think it's maybe because I have the blind closed today to deal with a little bit of the sunlight. I think that's maybe like just hemming me in. It's focusing all my attention onto the game, and repetitive of coastline is just sort of coming around like a sort of fast movie where you like you're running down the corridor. It's like vase, lampshade, couch. Vase, lampshade, couch is like they're running away from the horror, and I feel like that's what coastline is.
It just repeats over and over. You can never escape it. Yeah. Well, if nothing else, it has been coastline played in 3 different ways so far. It's not like it's a full repeat. It's like a
3 ways, coastline 3 ways.
Well, no, I was thinking more like it's you know how there's like 17 Saw films. We're on the 3rd Saw film right now. It's like, okay. It's the same basic premise for how the game is played. It's just like the plot's a little bit different every time with how it works. So. How different will it be here? Will it end up being a landslide for Team One after 2 straight victories? Time will tell, and it seems as though their attack strategy will focus mostly from a roof to hookah side take. We are back on hookah billiards now, and there is some pressure that will be forced from the west, not from Ruins. Levy liked to play the Lion and use those EE1Ds from sitting out in Ruins while watching the long angle all the way to big window. Don't believe he'll be playing the same angle, and it seems as though FaZe, they've left Cyber downstairs, and they've left Cyber all alone.
Well, I believe we are going to hit a very short rehost. I think we did lose souls at some point during that round, and we were just waiting for a confirmation onto when the rehost was going to come through, but it appears it is going to come through right now. We're going to have a technical pause whilst we get all the players back inside of the lobby. Going off what we have seen up until this point, it's not the easiest to sort of speculate as to which direction this game is going to head into. FaZe are obviously struggling in a lot of those engagements, and it's something that Team One are more than happy to challenge onto. But really, still early days inside of this game.
Yep, not super concerned about FaZe Clan for much reason for right now. I do think 2 straight round losses in the way that they happened, it comes down partially to gun skill, which we've been able to praise Team One for. I think in some cases, even like we underrated Team One. I think like when they first formed this roster and started playing within BR6 and went to SI, there were a lot of questions about how they would play together because it's practically a brand new squad. Most of them have only been together for the better part of 6 months. Obviously, Levy and Neskin playing on Team Singularity way back in the day, from before the start of Stage 1. But that's really the only similarity in terms of what players here have consistency with one another. So for Team One's sake, it's nice that they have been able to remain within that top 6 for Brazil. I think they're still absolutely contending with the likes of teams like Furia, for probably the bottom 3 of the top 6. It's kind of weird. There's the top 6, which goes to the LATAM League Finals. The top 3 has always historically been NIP, Team Liquid, and FaZe Clan, and then right below them is another 3, which is where Team One have seemingly always sat. They have a couple major appearances under their belt, very nearly won against Liquid back in November, but it's nice to see them bounce back, even with a team that I don't even know if it's accurate to say that they're still figuring things out. They seem like they're running like a pretty well-oiled machine already.
I think Team One have had a really big benefit in that they were actually able to go to 6 Invitational. And that's going to have done quite a lot for them, not just in the fact that they were able to play, you know, against other international competition on the highest level, on the biggest stage, but that they were also able to get a lot of scrims in while they were there. And if you pay attention to any of the players and on the social medias and stuff, it's never easy because you've got to translate a lot of the stuff that they're saying. But you can see the sort of friendships that are developing in the other players inside of different scenes and different regions that they're making friends with. And, you know, that Alamau played quite a lot of games with inside of, you know, FPL while he was over here, did a lot of scrims, and they were able to play some of those teams that weren't at 6 Invitational because there was still some really good teams inside of Europe that weren't present at SI. And I think that stuff like that just goes a long way, and especially in terms of, you know, a big trip for them to build a lot of teamwork and a lot of, you know, friendship and all that sort of stuff that you look to build within a squad. It's been like a little bit of a secret sauce, I think, that's probably worked out really well for them, and then they can come back off the back of that and jump straight into Stage 2 and continue to perform really well, even as this side that is still relatively newly formed, they do continue to surprise us.
just about ready to head back into the lobby here in just a moment. It was a case where I know that the default reflex for a lot of players in Siege is to, if you have a problem and need to rehost, everyone from the team that calls the rehost then promptly leaves the lobby. But we're at a point now where we've got a pause feature, and I'm just like, man, what are we rehosting for if only one player has to leave? But it was a case where we were already in game by the time the rehost itself had been called, so it seems like we'll head back into it once everyone seems like they're situated. We have observers hovering over the ready button, so once we're all situated, we will get back into things. I'm not super worried about FaZe Clan's chances in this game, by the way, after only 3 rounds. I do joke a little bit about, hey, Team 1's doing good, but again, it's only been 3. Both of those attacking wins so far have been pretty textbook and also examples of very good decision-making in the interim, especially on round number 2. Where Lagonis went immediately in for the plant on kitchen side, but it's still not a case where FaZe Clan should be super concerned about the way that they're playing. Again, Coastline has generally been attacker favored, with the exception of the Team Liquid and Santos game that we had from earlier in the day. That should still be the way that it swings typically, so even if FaZe Clan find themselves down by a couple of rounds on attack, it's something they should still be able to bring back, provided they don't let Team 1's momentum get the best of them.
Thank you all so much for bearing with us during that short break. We are going to get back into the game now. We do have everybody inside of the lobby. We're going to join exactly where we left off. 2 rounds to 1 for Team 1 at the current moment in time. FaZe are going to be on the defense. Not fair to say that FaZe is struggling to make it stick, but so far we've seen a little bit more gumption out of Team 1. Especially with how convincing a couple of those rounds have been up until this point. We're going to be looking back toward the only site that FaZe have won out of the 3 played so far, and that is going to be Hookah and Billiards.
Operator selection so far, again, it's Coastline. It's not like it needs to be super countery, I guess. It's pretty basic what you're trying to do on the attack. It's roam clearing. It's only typically 1 hard breach. You're not bringing a Thatcher. In this case, it's been banned for the first time today on all 3 Coastline games, but it's still a case where you do have a lot of utility to nullify, but it isn't coming in the form of a Jaeger, so I think in this case, it actually is. I meant the Wamai. So you're still bringing a lot of utility to burn with. A lot of operator selection might come from what secondary utility that you provide to your team, but 20 seconds in, right off the big window, Levy's just aced cameraman immediately.
How and why? Levy from the ruins, doing the damage, able to pop the lion scan, get himself into the drone, see if there are any more players to try and find. Cyber, he's responded, he's taken down Alamowers. I could only imagine Alamowers getting a little bit too aggressive there, particularly with where Cyber is playing. Cyber is going to be one shot though, so only a little tickle from a grenade, or heck, even if a flashbang hits him at this point, it will probably see him DBNO. Going to be a little bit more difficult for FaZe to sort of hold off that default plan. We remember previously how important it is to have enough denial to try and stop that plant from going down. And with the Toxic Babe canisters going out so early, it really leaves only a couple of C4s to try and deal with here.
Diffuser already back Aqua side. If that's where they want to go for the plant, you absolutely will be concerned about those C4s, but it seems like Neskin is at the very least aware of this, and the roam clear from Team 1 after it's already confirmed that there's no one else sitting top floor can then begin to focus at least a little bit on where the defenders are situated downstairs in case there's a nitro that would stop one of these plants, and there is a FaZe Clan defender down below. There's no one back behind couch wall, and KDS is going to force the issue, make sure that there's no one here. Cyber is, but is only on 1 HP. Can he find anything? Not with KDS spraying him down like that. There's the first nitro cell utilized, though. And in this case, the only nitro cell that could be expended has been, because the other one has been killed. Neskin, 2 quick frags, and it just turns into Souls trying to defend, and KDS forces all the way from the double door, kills the Kaid. And we sit at 3-1 now for Team 1.
Team 1 looking very good, especially on the execute, all assisted by that nice opening pick from Levy. You can never pick who you get, but to take out the smoke, to take out cameraman there, I'm sure that he was very pleased with that one. It really gave such a big opportunity toward Team 1 there. They no longer had to worry about getting stalled out due to time and could just instead focus on trying to overwhelm the bomb site, which is essentially what they did. Coming out with enough frags and enough of those advantages to be able to take those 2 versus 1, 3 versus 1s when it really mattered, and ultimately a very short round there for FaZe where they didn't really see all too much going in their favor. Now, that makes a lot of sense as to why they have gone here again. Typically, you would change your site if something fundamental went wrong or there was a nice little piece of counterplay brought by your opponent. But in this instance, you can't rely on Team 1 taking down Cameraman in the first 5 seconds every single time. So they're going to give it another go upstairs inside of Hookah and Billiards. They've brought, for all intents and purposes, the exact same lineup aside from the Malusi. That has been switched out. Still a couple of C4s knocking around. And hopefully for FaZe, Cameraman keeps himself alive for a little bit longer.
I like the idea of FaZe Clan going right back to the same bomb site for 2 rounds in a row. I think, yeah, if you don't lose Cameraman straight away, then your odds of winning the round definitely should increase, especially when you don't have someone swinging or being present around big window. But there's another issue. Cyber's now gone. 2 kills in 2 straight rounds within the first 20 seconds, and FaZe Clan got to be wondering what's going wrong. Cameraman, how do you hit something like that? KDS gets taken out straight away. The yellow pings, no doubt, from a Valkyrie cam outside, so it at least forces a trade, but action's hot and heavy within only the first 30 seconds. I guess that's an even 1-for-1, so I guess for both FaZe Clan and Team 1, it's kind of a case of, well, that happened, and now you can continue with the rest of the round.
It's a big loss on both sides, and I'm struggling to weigh up in my head who it really favors. Obviously, a C4 gone from the side of Cyber, and then 2 nades gone from KDS. Lost a lot of information as well from KDS, and Cyber can now sit onto his cameras and give a lot of that information out, and his players and his team are making full use of it. Levy, he's got himself taken on out. His Cameraman is on for a double kill in the round, looking to make it a triple. Swinging on into Blue Bar. He's got plenty of information around him. He's not sure he knows of Neskin. Just sneaking up here outside the kitchen. Removing the default is going to give the game away here. There was a hole inside of the wall. Neskin sits down 1, but eventually will be traded. Cameraman is on for that quad. He does know there's going to be a player on the cool vibes, but instead is making a full rotation. The plant's actually going down here. FaZe have been distracted for far too long, and Team 1 have stayed focused, recognizing that the site is upstairs, and now they've been able to get the plant down. Lagonis looking to hold it from inside a sofa. We've got Alamau on cool vibe stairs. A very peculiar position to find yourself in as an attacker trying to make this retake happen. Alamau finds the first. Toxic Babe canisters now being used to try and allow Cameraman some sort of access on into the site, but it isn't going to be enough. Alamau from inside of Hookah is going to be able to find that final kill. Doesn't need more than a glimpse to get the job done there.
Little confused. FaZe are back on Hookah for the 2nd round in a row. They do have some more secondary utility, like other nitro cells in their back pocket, waiting for a plant to go down. Playing them downstairs makes perfect sense because it's just a matter of throwing the charge up, pressing 1 button, and all of a sudden plants down, and Team 1 have to get somebody else to reclaim the diffuser. But the problem is, everyone from FaZe Clan in a 3v3 it rotates downstairs. So in spite of the 2 crazy kills within the first 30 seconds, it seems like everyone from FaZe says we'll play from bottom up, but they still can't play from bottom up even in a 2v2. Like, I mean, it wasn't a default plant, very obviously. It wasn't like right behind the bomb chassis in Billiards looking onto Aqua that Team 1 planted. They planted a little bit more in the middle of the room, closer to the actual Billiards table itself. So FaZe Clan, even if they went to that default spot, wouldn't have been able to stop things, but they all rotate down instead, rather than at the very least keeping one of their players up to the top floor. I'm curious if it's because Team 1 forced them out of sight really quickly, and they simply decided to play their life because they realized how many players they still had left up, but it's very questionable decision-making, I think, for FaZe Clan in this game. And so far, Team 1, that's 4 unanswered rounds after FaZe Clan's original win in the very first round. FaZe Clan should be looking to at least get away with a 4-2 here, but it's looking dire already.
When it rains, it pours, and so far it is pouring on FaZe Clan, but the sun is shining if you are Team 1 fan. The really stealing a lot of the momentum inside of this fixture. Look like they've got a very clear idea of how they want to approach things on Coastline. And FaZe kind of left fighting those fires that are left behind. A nade comes in and is going to chunk Souls down somewhat. He's trying to play inside of Theatre, and it's a location that is likely going to get pressured somewhat. The site being downstairs in Kitchen means that you need to take some degree of vertical control. Quite often, that starts in the Penthouse and Theatre area. Neskin, he's already dropped into the hatch, and he's going to look to try and drone himself in. Gathers the required info. Just going to set himself up for a little bit of a peek over on. He did get a glimpse there. A nade could be the undoing here of Souls. It's going to be the second one to come in. It's not going to do the job. The Lion Scan trying to root him in place as well. But eventually, Souls will be taken down. Doesn't go untraded though. Cyber, he's able to deal one back onto KDS. But Alamau from the DJ booth shuts him down. Advantage Team 1 here on that early clear.
Those crossfires from Team 1 are so potent. I mean, the one from VIP balcony I didn't even think was going to have a kill, but Cyber gets his trade and then gets traded technically himself, so it's a 2-for-1 as Team 1 hold the required angles, and it seems like Cameraman's waiting for someone to come back through Hall of Fame. I'll just wait here, poised to see if someone wants to work it over, but it seems as though it's mostly just a sledge opening up the holes inside Penthouse as per usual. And FaZe Clan, again, on the back foot. They've done a decent job of wasting time. Astro's back here already, but Lagonis wants the plant onto service. It will be sniffed out, but can it be stopped? It finally will, even with the frag nade trying to distress Astro from holding the angle. Cameraman will be the one to get the kill with the Toxic Babe. With 40 seconds remaining, it doesn't look as though Team 1 really have another way that they can take this bomb site. They could take the diffuser and rotate someplace else, but it seems like they're pretty stuck in their ways with planning on service.
Ooh, Bullet. He's going to be able to find the scoreboard and take down Neskin. E1D roots him to his feet, though, as Levy is going to be able to find another 2. Levy, what is going on here? All of a sudden, he has swung the table. Still, comes down to the 1 versus 1. 11 seconds do remain. Alamau could try and get the plant down here. The vertical angle is not going to be sufficient. He's seriously outplayed Bullet. Bullet is having a mare. He spent a good extra few seconds. Time that he could not afford to, trying to get into a position to challenge Alamau. But the plant has gone down. Alamau has to try and win out this engagement now, as he's really stuck between a rock and a hard place. Going to pre-fire his way through. Does land some significant damage, but not the finishing blow. Dips himself on out. There's lots of live information available for him here. All he's got to do is play this one patiently. In fact, there's info available on both sides. Bullet with the pre-fire. This is going to come down to a horrible barrel stuff of a gunfight. Alamau trying to make it work. Both players getting the advantage. It's going to be the pistol in the end. Alamau not taking any chances, running out of ammo there. Hits a little prone dash and a headshot with the pistol. The closest round we have seen so far, but still a round that is going to go into Team 1's favor. And off the back of that, Alamau just drops the mic and leaves the server.
He said, nope, FaZe Clan is already trash enough. I'm having too much fun. I got to dip for a second. That's pain. Though, to FaZe Clan's credit, I think that round was incredibly close. You're not wrong. It was nice to see the FaZe Clan were making a couple of adaptations, and even in spite of the 2-for-1 trade upstairs to start the round out, they kept their cool, ensured that they had their strategy locked down with only the 3 remaining players, stopped one plant pretty effectively, but then weren't able to hold control of service, while, yet again, the crossfires from Team 1 simply forced FaZe Clan into too many uncomfortable positions and, bodied them before they really had a response. In the end, though, if it comes down to a 1v1, that was absolutely winnable on both sides. So it's unfortunate the FaZe Clan weren't able to win that one. It just took Cyber too long to force the issue, and Team 1 up with 5 rounds in a row.
A really close round, and as you say, came down to big individuals. Levy, a big part of that. Those 2 kills that he found were crucial. Bullet able to keep himself upstairs as well and be alive in the final few seconds for the chance at that 1 versus 1. As you can see, we are just hitting a small technical pause as we're struggling to get Alamau back on in, but we've got that fantastic pause feature, so we are able to just hold up and save remaking the game yet again. I can tell you that the site is going to be Blue Bar and the old Sunrise. But with the current lead of 5-1 at the switch of this half, Team One seriously have the momentum. A couple more rounds is all that is going to be required here from them to get this one over the line. FaZe, it's a long and arduous attacking phase that is going to be coming up for them. Certainly not going to be easy to fight off, especially if Team One get a little bit closer toward that match point. But you never know. We may see a heavily advantaged side coastline today toward the attackers, but I guess time will tell.
Kind of looks as though in the midst of this technical pause for LML dipping out for a second, it's kind of interesting to see that everyone from Team One is kind of getting up and getting a little loose, talking with one another while LML attempts to reconnect to the lobby, so to speak. One of the advantages of having everybody all in the same place at the same time while you play the game, it's something that the North American League has, except that's done entirely on a stage within a LAN environment. It's not something that, unfortunately, Europe is capable of taking advantage of, because for the most part, teams are all separated, playing from their own individual residences, and they're not all together in the same place. But it does speak, I think, to like the camaraderie of teams in Brazil being able to play from the same centralized location. They're all, up in team houses or complexes, enabling all of them to have very fast communication and debriefs back and forth with one another to discuss what went right and what went wrong when games are all over. It's a really great thing in terms of overall team chemistry to just kind of have, and you're never judging the people that you're working with over an online connection like it has been for a lot of regions and for how most of Siege has been played previous to now. It's just one of those cases where being in the same room with your teammates makes things infinitely easier for you.
It really does. We're going to be headed back into the game now. Alamau has managed to reconnect. The teams and the players have had a moment to maybe, I don't know, gather their thoughts. If you're on the side of FaZe Clan, that's probably something that you would want to try and do at this point. Oh, the age-old six-pick. The IQ gets six-picked out of, and the Valkyrie, that gets six-picked into. Still, Flores for an IQ is probably a worthwhile trade here.
Anytime someone does that, or it's just a case where one operator gets sixed out of and another one gets sixed into like that, it's always a moment where you're like, you're going to be kicking yourself for not understanding like what's on the board now. FaZe Clan picked the IQ, presumably, to see if Team One would be playing the Valk, realized Valk wasn't there, swapped back off of it. I have to imagine that FaZe Clan are preparing for Team One to be playing the Valk in every round, because on a map like Coast, where there are a lot of different places to hide, especially on the outside, not having an IQ to clear those Valkyrie cameras is gonna, it will be such a thorn on the side of FaZe Clan already. Like, I'm already calling it now. Even with FaZe playing Valkyrie in the majority of their rounds on defense, it still didn't translate to round wins, and Team One so far seem like they have a pretty fair amount of momentum on their side so far through 6 rounds. So look for Team One to decimate, and FaZe Clan may already be on the back foot, because you're attacking and you don't have the 6th man of the clock on your side.
Attack certainly requires a lot more coordination here, and it's something that we saw Team One not really have too much of a problem with, especially on a lot of those trades and some of the more extended duels that were taking place for areas of map control. Let's see how FaZe approach that today, and if they've got a little bit of a firmer idea how they want to clear out these areas. Souls is going to be droning into Penthouse and Theatre now. He will, unfortunately for him, lose the drone. Bullet's got a bit of intel there as well, though, as he's going to be on the big window. He can hold somewhat of a cross. Cyber on the white window. The smoke canister coming on in. It's a relatively big investment. Might allow a little bit more of a push on through, though, as vertical control is now being contended for as well. FaZe really throwing everything in the kitchen sink at trying to get into Theatre here. And that's not even the site, Jacob.
Might as well clear it out for a kitchen defense, and that's something that Team One also understand resolutely. They're not going to make a rotate away from this up until FaZe Clan force them to. FaZe is very certainly trying. Souls and KDS engaged in this duel over Theater, but Souls at the very least will nab Neskin, who's been a force in this match. KDS still trying to hold on, and he will, but there's still another player pressuring him. If KDS loses Theater control, then that will spell a lot of problems for Team One, but he's stalling for so much time just in this solo position. There's no one else upstairs with him, and now 3 players from FaZe Clan are all trying to make sure he's not here anymore, and it takes 3 of them and a bullet from Astro to finally put him in the grave. But that's still 2 minutes gone now, as FaZe Clan still also have Levy upstairs to deal with, even though he has been droned. They'll be seeing how aggressive FaZe Clan want to get by clearing him out, but they still want to open up these holes. Time is dwindling now at this stage. Levy still has yet to be dealt with. He will maintain this position and hold on to it for dear life. Everyone from FaZe Clan now situated up on the top floor. It'll come down to the last 30-second execute. I don't even know if FaZe Clan know what they want to do anymore.
FaZe are in a very tough spot here. Levy, he gets himself chunked down, but he's still contesting out here on the roam. Astro eventually will shut him down on 90. 20 seconds left, though. Alamau in a now dangerous position to flank 2. Lagonis, one Toxic Babe canister left. He's going to choose to use it on that service door and instead try and hold the shotgun on the kitchen window. Worried still about the vertical angles as Cyber shuts down Alamau, and that could be a nail in the coffin here, but with only 3 seconds left and a gunfight being won, it's going to come down to Astro. He does hop himself on through. Still worried about that vertical pressure. There was around 2 seconds left when that final kill happened. A very narrow margin, but FaZe come away with the round.
Team One should have won that, like pure and simple, with the pure amount of time that was wasted upstairs. Theater being held by KDS and by Levy. In basically 2 stages, Levy didn't push at the same time KDS did. All of FaZe Clan's attention was focused solely on the Goyo upstairs. Sorry, the Mira upstairs. But the problem is, as soon as the Vector player in Theater is gone, as soon as KDS dies, then there's Levy, who you also now have to focus on. He's doing more of the same time-wasting game, just spraying bullets and preventing FaZe Clan from walking through doorways or, peeking the same holes that had already been opened up by Habana. It's a case of FaZe Clan just getting swarmed by bullets at wrong moments from Team One, but Team One simply aren't able to stall out for enough time in the end. It was great for the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the round, but then within the final 30, instinct kind of takes over and FaZe Clan win out. Stopping the bleeding finally. 5 unanswered rounds from Team One now has been given a little bit of stoppage from FaZe Clan, so it's not the complete end of the world. We will not see a 7-1 rehashing of our previous Coastline game, but FaZe Clan still have plenty of time to turn this one around.
There is an opportunity here from FaZe. As we mentioned there, a narrow margin. Another time where Levy is forced to go pretty big to try and make something happen for his team. You do wonder how repeatable it is on the side of FaZe. We're going to be attacking upstairs now into Hookah and Billiards. A site that we've seen Team One have mixed results on, honestly, back in their attacking side. Sometimes, I think they came away 50-50 out of here. I think they won it once, lost it once. Could be wrong on that, but ultimately it was by no means clear cut. It really did depend on that control, and a lot of the time what sort of deniability was taken away. Team One haven't brought the smoke, which honestly could come back to hurt them a little bit. We've seen smoke so powerful. No one really needs an introduction as to what smoke does, but those Toxic Babe canisters in terms of denying time can be very valuable. Instead, Team One have gone for the opposite tact. They've opted for 4 C4s instead.
Still shouldn't be a massive problem, though it's falling on FaZe to dictate the pace of the round. Ultimately, Team One have done that too many times in this game, where whether it be from an opening frag or establishing early map control when they were attacking, it just turned into a case where Team One were dictating how quick things were going to roll. The FaZe Clan need to kind of take the initiative and twist things back on their side, if nothing else, and going to be looking to do so. They've got plenty of operators who are incredibly potent on the frag roll. An AK-12, Zofia, Sledge, and Twitch all up, so it means that they're not going to be suffering in terms of what guns can take players out quickly. But again, it's Coastline. The roam is ever so important. It'll be a Valkyrie, a Mozzie, all off-site, and it kind of seems like FaZe Clan aren't playing too many people together at the same time, and there's the first frag. KDS from downstairs will knock Astro out, so no more ace can be used, but the Selmas gave away his position. They have been used, though, so his utility was effectual for something, even if it meant he couldn't survive past the 2-minute mark.
Now seeing FaZe set up for this default plan, but Souls is actually going to run in all the way deep, taking down Lagona. Cyber backing him up as well. They could be looking to try and plant now on the threshold between Billiards and Hookah. Neskin trying to fight his way on through. Soul's going to be on a little bit of a tear. He might have the diffuser in hand, but frags are on his mind. KDS with the flank, picks himself up too, confirming Cyber and Cameraman. What a flank it was. Strange to see as well, Nomad being available, but just not being brought and not really too much attention being paid to this flank for all the success that Souls has had. He now finds himself in the 2 versus 1, make it the 1v1. Can he land his shots? He's going to switch to the AR here for a little bit more long-range potential. Looking to try and get the plant down. KDS has let him do so, though. That could be a big mistake. The P10 Roni, it is going to be fairly superior in this engagement, that fast fire rate and only a couple of shots needing to be landed. But as soon as he hops through, he's going to make that audio cue. Can he pre-fire? No, he can't. Souls, the one-man army. He's gone through, torn away through the site. Finally got the plan down and won the 1 versus 2.
Oh, Team 1 very nearly had that. And I don't even mean in the 1v1 scenario at the end. The flank from KDS very nearly won the entire game. The Nitro Cell kill from down below was a massive factor in that round, but the 2 kills as he bursts through luggage to Aqua, and neither player that he kills in Billiards is looking his way at all. It was so almost very dire. Cyber and Soul sprinting right in. KDS takes out Cyber, and then Cameraman, as you see in the replay, but then Souls, the nastiness of the SMG-11, and then swings again as Mozzie attempts to land him there. That is masterfully done from Souls. Still a case, though, where the flank from KDS should have been the win condition for Team 1. It absolutely should have been. FaZe Clan didn't have somebody looking back towards Aqua as Souls and Cyber both sprinted directly into the site. That was ultimately the right call, and I'm happy that FaZe Clan decided to take that level of aggression straight from Couch all the way to Hookah to make sure they had both bomb sites firmly within their grasp. It very nearly fell under the radar, so thanks Souls for being able to clutch up when it mattered. But Team 1, the only mistake you really made in that round was just not winning the 1v1. FaZe Clan made far more mistakes in that round than you did.
Again, though, another round that came down to a fine margin. That's the last 2 rounds now that have come down to a 1 versus 1. And neither really being too clear in which way it was going to go, so the margins in this game have gotten a little bit smaller since the sides have switched. And it's no longer looking like it's going to be an easy game for Team 1. I mean, it never looked like it was going to be an easy game, but there was a time where the momentum was just in their favor so much that you kind of expected something. FaZe seriously showing up, though, and starting to carry the load a little bit more equally between the gang. Souls, as the support player, was such a big round previously as well in terms of frags. It shows how capable a player he is, but still, that was then, and this is now a new round and a new site. Blue Bar and Sunrise, the chosen location. You've got to think that there comes a point here where Team 1 start to try and play this one a little bit more passively to get it over the line, because they are still in the advantage position. They've still got 5 rounds versus 3. They're only a couple away. There's got to become a time where they look to stack the site a little bit more heavily, and maybe that's what we're seeing now. There's a good bit of presence inside of Sunrise. There's still a couple of players above that are going to be holding vertical and looking to keep control. And you daren't let the fuse of Cameraman get anywhere near that billiards room.
Yeah, we haven't seen any security takes onto Blue Bar from what I'm remembering from today. If we saw Double Bar, it was usually some sort of Sunrise take or players on the attack going right in and just killing every defender. That's kind of been the idea. So this is a unique take on the day through all 3 Coastline matches that we've seen. And a lot of it is going to rely on the drone game now, as FaZe Clan, for their own part, aren't getting aggressive either. It does seem as though Team 1 are kind of content to wait for FaZe Clan's approach, both Neskin and KDS off the bomb site. KDS kind of ripping his former team a new one. He's having a great day on the roam even before the rehost. His stats were already sky high. At the moment, he just seems to be continuing the trend. First Toxic Babe is utilized on right onto Blue Wall. Bullet does open up the killing. Finally, it seems like FaZe might have one thing going their way, but it's not all set and done yet. Astro will keep on trying to open up the wall if he can, going right in for the plant, but both Lagonis and KDS, two of those roam players, are about to make life really difficult for FaZe Clan. But for the moment, it seems like plant can go down. No one from Team 1 can get in before it happens, but KDS still up above. Now they know about all the players in security, and even if Lagonis didn't get that double kill, you still would have had KDS dropping from the hatch. Team 1 get the counter defuse off, and now we sit on match point for Team 1.
Just seemed as though it was a bit of a honey trap there from Team 1 that they'd set up. They were like, yeah, sure, you know, you can come and get the plant down, but we are more than ready to cut you down in the process. KDS and Lagonis coming in pretty big. Good vertical pressure and presence that was never really dealt with there by FaZe. And Team 1 get themselves onto that match point. This is where things start to get really tricky now for FaZe. They might have a couple more rounds left in them, but can they get 3 before Team 1 lock this game up? 1 round is all that is going to be required. We're going to be going downstairs into kitchen for this site. If we cast our minds back to a couple of rounds ago, this was one of the rounds that came down to 1 versus 1 when the roles were reversed, when we saw Team 1 on the attack. And even then, since we've seen it played, not a straightforward site by any means, and an opportunity for FaZe here. Still, curious to see no Valkyrie. I know we've kind of gone on about it a little bit, but it's always nice to highlight an operator that does see regular banning, but also then isn't played when available.
I think the flip side for that would be the Mira in this case, an op that we've seen on occasion, but not on a kitchen defense, which is a little bit interesting. We saw it, I want to say, in round 2 because it was the long angle being held from kegs to security. But it isn't being played here, and it kind of seems as though Team 1 aren't really focused too much on the site proper. A lot of those reinforcements and additional utility is being focused away from the site, so they are preparing a very deep roam structure and waiting for FaZe Clan to maybe take this from multiple angles and trying to waste time away from the bomb site rather than allow FaZe Clan to get closer to the site and then work on it from there. However, FaZe Clan look as though they're a little bit splintered in just where they're spawning in. They're looking to hold angles, maybe watch for runouts, ensure that there isn't someone who will be coming from that direction. They also haven't been playing a Nomad so far through this attack. First time today she's been unbanned, and all those flanks have to be held manually, as there hasn't even been like a Zero or somebody to do it, to aid FaZe Clan in that endeavor. So while Team 1 goes crazy on the roam, it will be far more difficult for FaZe Clan to deal with all the utility, but that's what the Flores is for. I'll have to see how much time Team 1 wastes with this endeavor.
Team 1 not looking to give all too much up here. I'm now going to be playing on main stairs. Plenty of intel available for them as well, as the yellow pings are aplenty. FaZe looking to get that opening pick and gain that advantage. It has been something that they've struggled with. Flores drone's going to come in to destroy a little bit of site utility. Cameraman looking to now get himself upstairs. Half the round has been spent already, so going to have to try and make something happen here. There are still players on the site for Team 1, so upstairs control could be valuable, but KDS, right place, right time. Picks himself up a couple. Neskin, he's able to take down Bullet, a player that has really struggled. KDS, what is going on? You've just sprinted entirely into Cameraman's barrel. Nearly got taken out there by the gun alone. A freebie for Cameraman. It's going to do something to bring it back, but not enough. The advantage here is still firmly with Team 1. There is a minute to play with. Cyber inside of the bathroom, just holding the cross for the time being. Kind of waiting for the assistance of Cameraman, but it's never going to come. With the diffuser being cold at the bottom of Cool Vibes, it was always going to be a tough ask. Cyber, we've got to see him do something pretty special here. If he's going to try and pull it back, and it looks like he may. Get some good damage into Neski, but no, doesn't have the intel. Stop reloading. Take the time. There are 30 seconds left here. He's going to try and pre-fire his way on through. The bulletproof will have been given intel. He's now playing Ring Around the Rosy. Is it going to be the door or the rotation? It's going to be neither. It's going to be Neskin from the bomb chassis. Locking things up here for Team 1.
Team 1 in the kills game is simply unstoppable, especially if they're the ones to open up the round with that opening frag. It just spirals down out of control. FaZe Clan did a good job of keeping things close in some of those rounds, but even in moments where it was a 2v2 or a 3v2, you can bet Team One has the ability to clutch up. Good game from Souls, if nothing else. That 1v1 in Hookah will be remembered for a while, but everything else for FaZe Clan fell by the wayside. And Team One now reclaiming 4th place over Furia with that victory, and it will take FaZe Clan yet another game and a hopeful win